We're going to begin with a major shakeup, though, in the 2024 election. Have you heard? With the New Hampshire primary just a day away, Florida Governor Ron DeSantis is out. He has endorsed former President Donald Trump, and now it is officially a two-person race to become the Republican presidential nominee.
The latest polling shows Trump with a big advantage in New Hampshire with just over half of the projected Republican vote. Nikki Haley is at just under 35%, but there's a potential path for victory for her. Tony is leading our team coverage in Manchester, New Hampshire. Tony, good morning. What's up?
Hey, good morning, guys. This is like the political version of the NFL playoffs and perhaps the last best hope for old school Republicans who are still dreaming for an end of the Donald Trump era and for independents, too, who don't want to see another Trump-Biden general election. There are a lot of them. We're at Bookery, Manchester. It's a bookstore here in New Hampshire's biggest city. You might hear the latte machine going behind me. We've been all over the state, though. We've been ice skating in Portsmouth. We've been skiing in Guilford, grocery shopping in Derry. And all the time we're talking to voters, you know me, and they are as free-thinking, really, as the state motto suggests, live free or die. And that's the wild card here. Independents, known as undeclared voters, are the biggest voting bloc in the state, and they are allowed to participate in the Republican primary if they so choose. So, even though Donald Trump does maintain a double-digit lead over Nikki Haley, she may still have a shot if she can turn out those people in the middle. Coming up in just a moment, we're going to hear from folks about how the economy is affecting their vote. It's not good. But first, we're going to begin with Caitlin Huey-Burns, who's also here in Manchester with me following the candidates' final arguments. Caitlin, good to see you. I know things must be getting closer because they're getting uglier.
Yeah, good to see you. Good morning, Tony. They certainly are. The race is almost here. And with just one day to go, the race is now down to just two candidates, Nikki Haley versus Donald Trump. And with that race coming up, they have really been ramping up attacks, knowing that this race could potentially be, for all intents and purposes, the last.
Can you hear that sound? That's the sound of a two-person race.
Nikki Haley visibly upbeat after the announcement from Florida Governor Ron DeSantis Sunday that he was ending his presidential campaign.
It's clear to me that a majority of Republican primary voters want to give Donald Trump another chance.
I just want to thank Ron.
Donald Trump acknowledged his now former rival while picking up another key endorsement from South Carolina Senator Tim Scott.
We need.
The move was a snub to the former South Carolina governor, who sharpened her attacks, questioning Trump's mental fitness for office.
These things happen because the more you age, it just does, you have decline.
After the 77-year-old seemed to confuse Haley with former House Speaker Nancy Pelosi when talking about January 6th.
Nikki Haley is in charge of security. We offered her 10,000 people, soldiers, National Guard, so whatever they want. They turned it down.
Still, Trump has the support of over half the Republicans in Congress, including New York Congresswoman Elise Stefanik.
Does that mean that Donald Trump is the establishment candidate of the Republican Party?
No, it means that we are unifying behind him. That's where the voters are.
And speaking of voters, we talked to neighbors and longtime friends Doug Kraus and Kevin St. Pierre as they shared a beer.
I'm supporting Trump.
Nikki Haley.
For me, it's been Trump all along. I would like to see him dial it down maybe a little bit, but I applaud. I think he's an honest guy, and what he says, he did.
We love each other. So it's
all good.
I just laugh because when he says he's an honest guy, which I think opposite.
I wish that there'd be less, I don't want to say hatred, but people could do this and just have difference of opinion and keep it civil.
Joining Caitlin and I now to break down tomorrow's primary is our CBS News chief election and campaign correspondent, Robert Costa. Bob, good morning. Thanks for being here. All right, so Ron DeSantis drops out. He endorses Trump. He takes a parting shot at Nikki Haley, calls her warmed over corporatism. How is that going to affect the race? And what are you hearing about the timing? Why did he do it now?
There were discussions among DeSantis allies for a long time about whether he had a path ahead. And ultimately, there was an acknowledgement by DeSantis his wife Casey and his top allies, that he just didn't have the money to go on, the momentum to go not only into New Hampshire, but into South Carolina, into Super Tuesday in early March. The timing now protects his political capital should he want to run again for president in 2028 or later.
Yeah, and Caitlin, Nikki Haley stepping up her attacks against Donald Trump, bringing up the age thing, something I've heard a lot about from voters. They are concerned. How can that have an effect? Is it too little, too late?
Well, New Hampshire is kind of a place for underdogs because it's fertile ground. You mentioned those independent voters. But Republican operatives I talked to say that she does still have a real uphill climb here. If she wants to make it close with Donald Trump, she really has to overperform among independent voters. And it's a nuanced group. If you remember, Donald Trump actually won independent voters in 2016, and he won the nomination, and the rest is history. So she's been stepping up the attacks, but I will say undeclared voters I've been talking to want to see her be more aggressive.
Even more so.
Even more aggressive.
You know who else is watching? Donors.
Yeah.
They want to see if Haley can perform here or overperform, as Caitlin said, then they will start to pour millions into her campaign, try to set her up for Super Tuesday.
Okay, so that's the messaging, that's the money part of things. But Caitlin, you've also been talking to voters about the issues that matter to them. Put the horse race over here. What do people care about?
Well, we are several thousand miles away from the southern border, but immigration is coming up over and over again among Republican voters I talked to, mainly because of fentanyl and the opioid crisis here. Also, just generally, Tony, talking to voters, you sense this real pessimism about the future, about the way things are going. People on both sides that I've talked to want something different.
Yeah, it is deep, it is abiding. And Bob, I am curious, is this make or break for Nikki Haley? If she takes second place in this distant second place, is she done?
The margin people on the inside of politics are watching is, can she get single digits? If she's within 9 or less of Trump, maybe she can carry on and have a case. But if she's 10 more behind Trump, it's hard to say she really has a path to the nomination. At this point, though, for Haley, she still thinks she has strength in her home state of South Carolina. So if she gets, 10 or 12 points behind Trump, she still may decide to stay in the race and hang tough.
All right, Bob, Caitlin, thank you both very much. Really appreciate it. Guys, as I send it back to you in New York, I used to work in a coffee shop. I might hop behind the counter, make a few cappuccinos. One more thing I want to point out. The union leader here, newspaper in Manchester, I get endorsements aren't what they used to be from newspapers, but they had a very colorful one yesterday. They quoted Jurassic Park, the movie, always a win in my book, and said Biden and Trump are dinosaurs. They endorsed Haley and said she's the, quote, fireball from the heavens to wipe them out. Points for color.
Support local news. That's my reaction to that, Tony. And I support you getting behind the counter and brewing up some coffee. Thank you very much, my friend. We'll talk to you in just a little bit. In other news, the brutal cold weather blamed for 95 deaths continues to blanket much of the middle of the country. An ice storm is making everything slippery and dangerous from central Oklahoma to eastern Missouri. And in Memphis, the cold weather has frozen and broken pipes, cutting off water for 700,000 people. Meteorologist Jordan Steele with our partners at the Weather Channel is watching it all. Jordan, good morning.
Well, good morning, Vlad. Our relentless winter storm pattern for 2024 continues, only this time the system is originating more from the south. And what that tells me is we're going to have milder air overriding the frigid Arctic air. But you see that pink? That's a problem. That's freezing rain potential, which we know can be very dangerous. This system will skirt to the north. You look at your temperatures. I mean, places like Little Rock, could we be 50 degrees? It's been 10 days since we've been that warm. But it's the ice that's going to be problematic. In fact, it could be damaging from Arkansas all the way up into northern Indiana. We've got several states here that will be extremely slick. If you're in the south, it's mainly big rain from East Texas through the Mississippi River tonight. No ice here, thankfully, just heavy rainfall totals. I think over the next couple of days, we could be looking extremely healthy because there is still drought here in the south, believe it or not. I think the bullseye is going to be in East Texas, Louisiana, parts of Arkansas. We could be looking at a half a foot of rain or more, which means we could be looking at flooding. But the good news, this will make everybody smile. Warming trend for the end of the week. And yes, temperatures finally above average. For more in-depth coverage, you guys can watch the Weather Channel on cable or live on your favorite TV streaming devices. Vlad, back to you.
All right, Jordan, thank you very much.
On to Georgia, where a court hearing in a divorce case could impact former President Trump's election interference case there. A judge is expected to decide if Fulton County DA, that's Fani Willis, must testify about an attorney that she hired. They are accused of having an improper relationship. Nicole Killian is in Marietta, Georgia, with more on the story. Nicole, this sounds like it's getting messier and messier. Good morning to you.
Good morning. Fulton County District Attorney is usually the one who issues subpoenas. Now she's being subpoenaed Willis is fighting an order to testify Tuesday in a divorce case between Special Prosecutor Nathan Wade and his estranged wife. Willis hired Wade to assist in the 2020 election investigation of former President Trump. Co-defendant Michael Roman wants Willis removed from the case and accused her of benefiting from an alleged affair with Wade. Roman's attorney claims Willis's office has paid Wade's law firm more than $653,000 and alleges Wade used some of that money for lavish trips. A lawyer for Wade's wife released bank records that show Wade bought plane tickets to San Francisco and Miami for himself and Willis during the case. Willis has not confirmed or denied a relationship with Wade. Her lawyer called the subpoena an attempt to damage the district attorney's reputation and interfere in the 2020 election case. In addition to deciding whether Willis should testify, a judge is also considering whether to unseal documents in Wade's divorce case.
All right, more to come. Nicole, thank you very much. Turning overseas, Israel's government faces more international criticism after rejecting calls for a Palestinian state. The fighting continues in Gaza, where one of our colleagues had a very close call. Charlie D'Agata has the story.
Israeli military handout video is said to show the raging gun battles underway as Israeli forces advance deeper into southern Gaza. Our CBS News colleague Marwan Al-Ghul was filming when an explosion struck. Oh! Just a few feet from him and his team, killing that man on the bike. Marwan and the team are badly shaken, but physically unharmed.
They shoot us! They shoot us!
In the Red Sea, these images are said to show a Houthi missile strike on a Greek cargo ship. Aboard the USS Arleigh Burke destroyer in the Mediterranean, we saw for ourselves in a simulated attack
These are enemy missiles.
how the U.S. Navy intercepts such inbound missiles.
Stand by for missile intercept 1236.
But what are you telling your sailors, considering what's happening here?
We talk every day about our most important mission is to be warfighting ready, to be ready to take that battle any day.
America's other main component in this area, more than 2,000 Marines. In rare access aboard the USS Baton's landing craft, we joined the 26th Marine Expeditionary Unit, capable of getting in or getting Americans out of what has become a very unstable region. For CBS Mornings, Charlie D'Agata, Tel Aviv.
A popular baby clothing company is trying to head off a consumer boycott this morning. The family of an employee at the Kite Baby said that she was forced to give up her job to be in the hospital with her premature baby. Nikki Batiste has the story.
Hey everyone, I just wanted to come on here and thank each and every person who has loved and supported us so much over these last few days.
That's Marissa Hughes, who took to social media Friday to thank supporters after they learned that she was out of a job at clothing brand Kite Baby. Hughes' family said she was fired after not returning from maternity leave in order to care for her newly adopted son. He was premature, weighed 1 pound, and in a NICU 9 hours from their Dallas home. According to Kite Baby's policy, an employee like Hughes, who had been with the company for at least 6 months, is allowed 2 weeks of paid leave. But when that time was up, Hughes' request to work remotely from the NICU was denied. When Hughes' story went viral, the backlash against the company was swift.
I will no longer be supporting the brand as both a creator and a consumer.
I wanted to hop on here to sincerely apologize to Marissa for how her parental leave was communicated.
Kite Baby CEO Ying Liu posted not 1 but 2 apology videos after her first attempt was widely panned as insincere.
I basically read it. It wasn't sincere. Sincerely, what went wrong was how we treated Marissa.
In that second apology, Liu went on to say Kite Baby will continue to pay Hughes and offered her a position with the company, in addition to announcing policy changes they hope to enact by February 1st.
We don't think it would be appropriate for me to go back.
For CBS Mornings, I'm Nikki Batiste.
I appreciate
Big
the
old damage
CEO
control
saying that she's
that
made
she
a mistake. She
apologized.
says
Yes,
she owns
I
the
do
mistake.
too.
Acknowledging it.
I appreciate Marissa saying that she's happy that there are changes that are going to be made. But I think what I take away from this story is there is still parental leave is still not protected in this country. That is the takeaway, that you can be in this situation and not be protected legally.
And the takeaway that somebody really screwed up.
There's some calls that are easy, Gayle. That was an easy call.
All right.